Hello, and welcome to the next segment of the Asatru Edda. I am Asgur Skeg, and today's chapter is entitled Ydalr, and in it we're going to be talking about a god we spoke about earlier, who is not of the Aesir Vanir family, and that is Ivaldi. The term Gotnar comes from the name of a king called Goti, whom Gotland is named after. He was called after one of Odin's names, for this was derived from Gotr, for Gotland or Jotland was called after this name of Odin, while Svithjod is from the name Svidr. This is also one of Odin's names. At that time, all the mainland that he ruled over was known as Red Gotaland, and all of the islands Gotaland. These are known as the realm of the Danir and the realm of the Sviar. Goti is another name for Jarl Skodr, from whom the Skoddangar are descended. They are kings of Denmark, and what was then called Hröd Gotaland is now called Jotland. Jarl's residence and the lands he ruled over were in what is now called Denmark or Denmark, but was then known as Gotland. Konar inherited this realm after his father's death. Svidr is also the name of Ivaldi, and his realm, Svizjod in Mikla, was rich in gold. Its northernmost rivers flow on beds of golden sand. Ivaldi was the first ruler of Svizjod in Mikla. With the Sviar lived in the northernmost part of. North of them, Ivaldi rules in At of Skiers, the Skridfinar. For this reason, he is called Finkonger. He was a mighty drinker and as skillful with a spear as his son Egil was with a bow. Ivaldi protected Midgardr from the powers of Frost and Jotunheimr, leaving Ydalr in Alfheimr in the charge of his sons Egil, Volander, and Slagfinr. There they protected Helvergamir and the region of Bliss from the powers dwelling in Niflheimr. Collectively, Ivaldi's At is known as the Niflungar. Freyr was 6 years old when Njordr offered him to the sons of Ivaldi to be raised in Ydalr. Since he had been given Alfheimr as his Tanfe in his infancy, he would rule over this land when the time came. Volander, Egil, and Slagfinr were entrusted with the protection of their king and were given authority to govern the realm under him. With their abundant physical and intellectual gifts, their minds and strength were more than equal to the task. The danger posed by Jotunheimr did not seem great, as long as the leader of the border patrol that had been established to guard against the Jotnar, named Ivaldi and his sons, upheld the oaths of loyalty that they swore to the Godin. These Alfred princes were entrusted to watch the whole length of the waterway that flows up from the Ivaldi to the surface of the earth and divides Midgardr from Jotunheimr. Their sisters, daughters of Ivaldi and Suna, were also their wives, and thus they were also united by family ties to the powers that defend the welfare of Yggdrasil and provide the inhabitants of Midgardr with harvest. Volander fell in love with his sister Idun, and together they had the daughter Skadi. Skadi travels on skis, carries a bow, and shoots wild animals. She is called undergod or underdis, for she later became an Asatru. Of the three sons of Ivaldi, Volander spent most of his time in his smithy, where he forged divine ornaments and treasures and brewed holy mead, thereby benefiting the cause he had sworn to serve. Freyr, his foster father, often stayed with him. Therefore, the duty of safeguarding Helvelgrimr and Midgardr fell mainly to his two brothers, Egil and Slagfiner. Egil particularly distinguished himself by his untiring and brave service as a watchman. Egil's first wife is named Groa. She lives with him in Ydalr, a well-guarded, pleasantly furnished fortress decorated with gold and located by the Ivaldi in Ydalr. Groa was a wise housewife of Egil, who is knowledgeable of law, of Blottar, and sacred songs, of the Galdar and of the Runar. She is not Egil's sister, but rather his daughter. Rather is the daughter of Alfa ruler Sigtygr and is the sister of Sif. Groa and Egil once found two small children lying in a dike, a little boy and a little girl. They took the children home and adopted them as their own. The boy was named Thalfi and the girl Roskva. Later, Egil and Groa had the sons Ydalr, who would become close to his foster brother Freyr. Thor, who often visits the borderlands to keep an eye on the Jotnar, was Egil's good friend and was accustomed to staying with him on such visits. Groa often stayed in Thor's home, Thrudvangur, whenever Egil made forays on the Ivaldi and of the coast of Jotunheimr, alone or with his army of Alfar. Egil had 800 Alfar under him, who were fishermen and warriors. Thor travels from Asgard to Asatru in his chariot drawn by the goats, Tangsgjotur and Tangsgrisnir. At Egil's, the evening is passed with song and mead. At dawn, Thor leaves Egil to battle the Jotnar. He travels on foot with a basket on his back. In it, there is no better food. In peace, he eats before he leaves the house and is sated on herring and goat meat. The herring are caught by Egil's fishermen, and the goat meat comes from Thor's goats, which he can slay one night, then resurrect with his hammer the next day. While there, Egil gives the horn-strong goats care. Egil rides with Thor in his chariot. Slagfiner married his sister Edda and shared in many of his brother's adventures. Edda is also called Hlaudgud Svanhvit. Thank you for sitting in on our next segment reading of the Asatru Edda. I hope you enjoyed the content. Please support the channel, hit that thumbs up button, and subscribe so you catch all of our new content. Thank you again for listening in, and we'll see you on the next segment.